Hello and welcome to the Luv Doc podcast with hosts Waldo Wachewski and Ophelia Bruschi.
So what if I told you that the definitive proof of human free will isn't found in some dusty, leather-bound philosophy book?
Okay, where is it then?
It's actually in the absolute cringe-inducing misery of a corporate restaurant's birthday song.
Wait, seriously?
Seriously, like, picture it for a second. You are sitting in this sticky vinyl booth, and 5 totally unenthusiastic waiters are just clapping off beat.
Oh, I know the exact vibe you mean.
Right. They're singing this terrible royalty-free melody. And apparently in that singular moment of just inescapable awkwardness, the entire nature of human agency reveals itself.
I mean, it sounds totally absurd when you frame it that way.
It really does.
But, we are so conditioned to think of existential questions as, like, strictly academic.
Right. Like, you need a tweed jacket to even ask them.
Exactly. Do we have free will? What is the burden of existence? What is the nature of time? We treat philosophy like a luxury.
Yeah, but it's not.
No, it's not. The reality is that metaphysical dread doesn't just wait around for you to get a PhD. It hits you in traffic or in the shower or, while you're staring at a dessert with a sparkler in it.
Which is exactly why we are diving into these massive questions through this highly irreverent, fiercely localized guy known as the Luv Doc.
Okay, the Luv Doc.
Yeah, and this entire column we are looking at was sparked by a reader who simply signs his name as Extra Old Austin Dude.
That is a fantastic pen name.
Right, and he sent in this rapid-fire list of heavy, late-night metaphysical anxieties. So our mission is to extract the surprising, honestly, very grounded wisdom from this incredibly unconventional exchange.
Well, to understand the philosophy, you really have to understand the philosopher, right?
Oh, totally.
The Luv Doc approaches these reader questions by first establishing his credentials. He claims the title of unofficial staff ontologist at the Austin Chronicle.
Staff ontologist?
Yeah. And, ontology is a very serious branch of metaphysics.
Right. It's the study of being, basically.
Exactly. What actually exists, how different entities relate to one another within reality. So taking on that title at a local newspaper is just a brilliant framing device.
It really is. And he describes acquiring this title back in what he calls the before times.
The before times.
Which he specifically defines as the era prior to 2020.
Of course.
He paints this vivid, nostalgic picture of a civilization where restaurants didn't close at 9 p.m., and working from home simply meant you were calling in and actively pretending to be sick.
Wow, remember those days?
Barely. But then he poses a very logical question to himself. The Austin Chronicle was founded in 1981, so why did the position of staff ontologist sit vacant for nearly 4 decades?
Right. And his answer to that is just grounded in sheer practicality.
Yeah.
He suspects the earnest, hardworking founders of the paper were simply too busy killing themselves trying to put out a weekly print publication.
Oh, for sure. Print media is brutal.
Exactly. They couldn't slow down to ponder the true nature of existence. It's like a localized reflection of Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Right. You can't worry about self-actualization if you can't eat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You cannot sit around categorizing the nature of reality when you are desperately trying to keep the lights on and the printing press running.
He even throws in this deeply cynical print industry joke. He mutters, trees, forest, right?
That's a deep cut.
It is. And he explicitly notes that this is an old deforestation joke that Genzennials won't even understand.
Wait, Genzennial?
Yeah, his portmanteau for Gen Z and millennial.
That's hilarious.
He tells the older readers to savor the joke. But beyond the grueling hours, he points out the most pragmatic reason the position remained open. Pondering existence doesn't generate revenue.
Shocker.
Right.
Huh.
The role of staff ontologist is entirely unpaid. He literally says it has a public domain valuation-wise.
A valuation of 0. A longing to everyone, compensating no one.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second. Taking on the title of staff ontologist at a local paper is kind of like being the self-appointed captain of a sinking ship.
That's a great way to put it.
Right. Nobody asked you to step up. There was absolutely zero financial incentive, but someone has to stand at the wheel and steer.
Yeah.
So why do we gravitate toward voices like this? Why rely on a sarcastic advice columnist to translate existential dread instead of, turning to recognized academic experts?
Well, what's fascinating here is that academic philosophy often demands that you step outside of your daily life, to observe existence from this detached, sterile vantage point.
Like a view from nowhere.
Exactly. But the Luv Doc is doing the exact opposite. He is embedding philosophy into the daily grind.
Oh, I see.
When you are just trying to get through the week, pay your rent, deal with modern anxieties theories formulated by ancient Greeks, feel incredibly disconnected.
Yeah, they don't really help with my commute.
Right. So the Luv Doc is speaking from the trenches. He uses the language of the everyman to build a survival mechanism for the modern world.
And that ground-level survival mechanism is immediately put to the test by extra old Austin Dude's first question.
Okay, what's the question?
Do we have free will?
Oh, just a small, casual question to kick things off.
Right. The debate between free will and determinism has raged for centuries. Physicists argue about whether our choices are just the inevitable result of atomic collisions that started with the Big Bang.
Sure.
But the doc completely bypasses physics and neuroscience. He anchors his answer to the concept of public domain, specifically the original Happy Birthday song.
Okay, this is where it gets really good. He notes that the copyright for the original recognizable birthday song actually expired in 2016.
Right, it's free for anyone to use now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yet if you walk into a corporate chain restaurant today, the employees are still forced to sing these bizarre, newly invented alternatives.
It's so awkward. He describes these corporate alternatives as songs pulled out of thin air by some wannabe Taylor Swift in the corporate marketing department.
Nailed it.
We are subjected to overly perky servers dragging their eye-rolling, miserable coworkers to a table to clap along to something entirely unnatural.
It's physical pain, honestly.
It is. And he points out that a perfectly serviceable, slightly rangy song written in the 19th century is right there, legally available.
But corporate mandates dictate this unique form of public suffering instead.
Exactly. So how does this prove free will?
Well, this is where his argument materializes. The doc claims that he exercises his free will by actively choosing to lean into the suffering and the absurdity of that corporate chant.
Actively choosing it.
Yeah, he doesn't just passively tolerate the awkwardness. He decides to aggressively enjoy the absolute absurdity of the ritual.
Okay, but he makes a crucial distinction here to defend his agency, right?
He does.
Because he rejects the idea that his enjoyment is just a fetish.
Right, because a fetish would imply some sort of subconscious attraction, like a hardwired psychological trait that operates totally beyond his control.
Exactly. If it were a fetish, it wouldn't be free will, it would just be biological programming. He insists that he consciously, deliberately chooses to let the awkward situation wash over him.
So he is embracing the cringe as a deliberate act of rebellion against the discomfort.
But I have to push back here.
Okay, go for it.
Does choosing to endure a cringe-worthy corporate birthday song actually prove free will?
I mean,
Like, if you are trapped in a booth surrounded by 5 waiters clapping offbeat, you have no physical escape. Choosing to enjoy it sounds less like philosophical agency and more like a psychological coping mechanism.
that's a very fair point.
Right. It's a desperate attempt to find a sliver of control in a completely uncontrollable environment. You see this in Stoicism all the time.
The idea that you can't control the world, only your reaction to it.
Exactly. But surviving an awkward moment doesn't necessarily prove your choices aren't predetermined from the start.
Well, what's interesting is that the doc actually anticipates that exact critique.
Oh, he does.
Yeah, he concedes the intellectual high ground. He admits that observers might argue his enthusiastic reaction to the birthday chant is predetermined.
Wait, really? He just gives up the argument?
Sort of. He theorizes that it could be preordained by a super detail-oriented divinity or perhaps an overachieving superintelligence.
Ah, so he is bringing in divine determinism or even simulation theory.
Exactly.
The idea that some hyper-advanced civilization or cosmic architect has coded our reality down to the most mundane details, including his exact emotional reaction to a plate of loaded potato skins and a sparkler.
Right.
Are you miffled that no one thought to buy you some flossy Luv Doc merch for your last birthday, anniversary, bat or bar mitzvah, graduation, baby or bridal shower? Your outrage is completely justified. Let it out and then get some revenge on your unthoughtful friends and loved ones by web surfing over to thepleasurecraft.com and buying all the dope merch your closets and storage spaces can hold. Remember, money is only temporary, but Luv Doc merch lasts easily a decade or so with proper care. At least that's what the merch company rep told us when he took us to that expensive strip club.
And when you look at simulation theory, philosophers like Nick Bostrom argue that if a civilization ever reaches a point where they can run ancestor simulations...
We would run billions of them.
Exactly. Statistically, it is far more likely we are in one of the billions of simulations than in the one base reality.
Which is terrifying.
It is, but the doc is acknowledging this probability.
Yeah.
He is saying it is entirely possible that his quote-unquote choice to enjoy the song is just a line of code executing exactly as programmed by a higher power.
But instead of spiraling into an existential crisis over the loss of his agency, his response is simply, good on ya, mate.
I love that.
Right. He specifically references the Wachowski sisters and the concept of the Matrix, but he strips away the dystopian horror.
No killer robot.
No killer robots.
Yeah.
He doesn't view cosmic control as a dark, energy-farming nightmare. He views it with this bizarre sense of camaraderie. He tells the universe to let them cook.
Let them cook. That is such a radically pragmatic stance. He reasons that if there's a superintelligent creator who is so deeply invested in his life that they are micromanaging his reaction to a restaurant song.
He has no interest in fighting a philosophical war he cannot win.
Exactly. To quote him directly, he says, I could just give up. But what good would I be to my overly meddling, superintelligent creators?
So he completely shifts his focus to the tangible world. He mentions that regardless of who is pulling the strings, he is busy out here trying to hit a Loteria Supreme scratch-off.
The scratch-off ticket. It is the perfect symbol of mundane, earthy hope.
It really is. Whether you have absolute free will or you are just a cog in a cosmic machine playing out a script, you still have to wake up.
You still have to interact with your environment.
Yep. And you still want to win $20 at the gas station. The abstract philosophical debate about agency does not change the physical reality of the daily human experience.
The game remains identical, whether the rules are rigged from the outside or generated from within. You still have to play.
Which actually leads us perfectly into Extra Old Austin Dude's second question.
Okay, what is it?
If we accept that we are playing a game we didn't necessarily choose to join, do we carry any responsibility for having been born?
The classic antinatalist anxiety.
Yes. None of us submitted an application for existence. We were brought here entirely without our consent. So, do we owe anything to the universe or to the people who brought us into it?
Well, Luv Doc drops the sarcasm entirely for this answer.
He really does.
The shift in tone is jarring, but very necessary. His answer to whether we carry responsibility is a visceral, emphatic.
Yes, emphatic is the right word. He anchors this responsibility entirely in the physical sacrifice of mothers. And the language he uses is intentionally raw.
Very raw.
He states, and I quote, "Our mamas didn't split their taints just so we could go live unremarkable, uninspiring lives."
Wow. Yeah, that sentence acts as an absolute wrecking ball to modern nihilism.
Well, completely.
Because a core tenet of modern nihilism is that since the universe is infinite and devoid of intrinsic meaning, our unrequested lives are ultimately pointless.
Right, so we are freed from any inherent moral obligations. The universe doesn't care if you exist.
Exactly. But the doc counters this by shrinking the scope of existence.
Shrinking the scope.
Yeah, the cosmos might not care, but he grounds the philosophy in raw biological reality and a familial obligation.
So what does this all mean for us? It's kind of like being drafted onto a grueling, high-stakes sports team without your permission.
Okay, I like this analogy.
You didn't submit your name for the draft, you didn't want to play this sport, but you wake up on the field, you look around, and you realize that your teammates, in this case your mother, literally bled to get you a spot on the roster.
Right.
They suffered immense physical trauma and sacrificed their own autonomy to bring you into the game. So even if you deeply resent the fact that you were drafted, you have a moral duty to play hard. You owe the people who suffered for your existence.
The doc argues exactly that. This undeniable physical sacrifice demands a return on investment.
We owe real effort.
We owe, in his words, some goddamn gratitude. And he explicitly ties this heavy biological debt back to the restaurant.
Oh, how so?
He states that because of what was sacrificed for us to be here, we owe at least a smile. Even and especially when we are completely sick and tired of doing things like clapping along to that insipid birthday chant.
So enduring the annoying, mundane parts of life with grace isn't just about protecting your own mental peace. It is an actual demonstration of respect for the life you were given.
Yes.
He writes, "If nothing else, it's a great reminder that life is not always about us and our feelings."
And that is the core insight right there. Meaning isn't some magical substance handed down by the stars to make us feel fulfilled and happy. Meaning is a debt.
A debt.
It is an obligation we owe to the biological reality of our creation. When you shift the burden of existence from a cosmic complaint about consent
Right, I did ask to be here.
to a deeply personal duty to your family, the existential dread shrinks into something manageable. You can't fight the universe, But you can honor your mother by being decent to a waiter.
I mean, that is a sturdy foundation. But extra old Austin dude immediately tests it with a final, incredibly cryptic question.
Ah, yes. The last question.
He simply asks, or when?
Even the doc admits this fragment stumped him initially. It is a jarring non sequitur following questions about free will and birth.
It really is. But the doc ultimately interprets, or when, as a question about temporality and death.
Right.
If the previous question was about the responsibility of our beginning, this is the anxiety of our end. When does the ride stop?
Exactly. If a creator, whether that is a divine entity or a simulation architect, went through the trouble of giving us this precious, burdensome gift of consciousness.
When do they decide to take it back?
Right. The doc categorizes the act of a creator giving life only to eventually snatch it away as a sadistic impulse. He literally calls it a dick move.
A dick move by the universe. I mean, it is the ultimate betrayal, right?
Yeah.
To grant a being consciousness, allow them to form deep attachments, experience love, eat good food.
Find humor in the absurdity of a birthday chant.
Right. Only to abruptly pull the plug without warning.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
Yet, instead of raging against the injustice of mortality, the doc exercises this strange form of empathy for the creator he just insulted.
He shifts perspectives completely.
He does. He reasons that if he were a superintelligent, possibly omniscient being faced with the endless, crushing, unyielding prospect of immortality, he might also want to cook up some entertainment.
Wow. So he is framing human struggle as reality television for the divine.
Essentially, yes.
Watching mortals scramble around, trying to extract meaning from the chaos, scratching off loteria tickets, enduring corporate restaurant rituals, that's the only thing that breaks the stagnant boredom of eternity?
It's a wild thought.
But instead of letting this realization push him into despair, the doc concludes that he is completely satisfied he will never actually have to answer that question of when.
He reiterates his stance from the free will debate. He holds no grudges against entities unknown to him.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me, though.
Okay.
Is this refusal to hold a grudge the ultimate philosophical surrender? Like, it borders on defeatism, I am just entertainment for a bored god, do what you want with me whenever you want? Or is there an argument that this is actually peak pragmatic survival?
This raises an important question. And I would argue it aligns perfectly with the Nietzschean concept of amor fati.
A love of one's fate.
Exactly. It is not a weak surrender. It is a muscular, radical acceptance of reality. The doc accepts the unpredictable, seemingly cruel nature of death, just as he accepts the unavoidable absurdity of the corporate birthday song.
So it's all part of the same acceptance.
All right. If you spend your finite energy raging against the unanswerable cosmic machine,
Demanding to know exactly why you were born and exactly when you will die.
you miss the actual experience of living. You become so obsessed with the parameters of the simulation that you forget to play the game. His philosophy demands a radical focus on the present moment.
Don't fight the simulation. Just scratch the lottery ticket, be kind to your mother, and enjoy the ride no matter how bizarre the script gets.
Exactly.
So let's wrap this up for you listening. We've taken a local advice column featuring a terrible restaurant birthday song, a $20 scratch-off, and graphic maternal gratitude,
Very graphic.
and somehow uncovered a highly robust, aggressively pragmatic framework for navigating existential dread.
It really serves as a reminder that profound metaphysical answers don't require an academic pedigree. You don't need a PhD in ontology to find meaning.
Not at all.
You only need to look at the mundane, frequently annoying details of your daily life, the traffic, the endless emails, the awkward social obligations, and recognize your own agency in them. You have the power to consciously choose how you react to the absurdity.
The answers aren't hidden in ancient texts. They are embedded in the messiness of simply being alive. But before we close this deep dive, consider this final thought. Building on the doc's premise that our mortal lives are just entertainment for a bored, immortal creator.
I love this idea.
If our existence truly is a cosmic reality show designed to amuse a higher power, does the way you react to the tiny, mundane annoyances change your standing in the universe?
Oh, wow.
The next time a server brings a cake to your table and starts clapping offbeat, consider that your reaction might not just be a psychological coping mechanism. It might be the exact moment the universe decides if your character's storyline is worth renewing for another season.
Thank you for listening to the Luv Doc podcast.
To read the column that spawned this podcast, go to austinchronicle.com/columns/the Luv Doc. There are probably worse things to do with your time, right?